The stock market has seen a pullback of 2 straight days now. Is this something to be concerned with? We've got big tech earnings behind us. Man, you saw some massive rallies out of Meta. You saw it out of Apple. You saw some really big earnings moves. However, now that that's behind us, our attention is going to start turning to the Fed governors and Jerome Powell. What are they going to start saying? Also, we have CPI next week. That's going to be a big one as well, and it's going to likely go a long ways in determining future Fed policy at the future FOMC statements. Now, with the 2-day pullback, we've seen it in the SPY, we've seen it in the Qs, and we've seen it with the Russell 2000 small caps. Is that enough to start getting bearish on this market again? Not necessarily overly bearish. I don't think it's bad to put a little bit of a starter position out there. I put a starter position out there today. I got 1 position to the short side. I'm giving it a chance, seeing how it's going to play out. If it continues to work out well, then I will add more short exposure, but I'm not going to go hot and heavy short on this market right now. It's just there's not enough evidence that it's ready to roll over, despite the fact that we're extremely overbought. Now in this video, what I want to do is I want to go over the technicals. I want to show you what I'm looking at, some of the resistance levels that are starting to come into play here. Before I do that though, make sure to click the join button down below so that you can get all my other market research each and every day. I'm going to be sending you additional videos on top of this one. Just by clicking on the join button down below, you can get all the information for that. That's going to include additional market updates, big tech updates. You're going to get my weekly watch list, and as well as some really good, intriguing trading ideas and setups. So check that out by clicking the join button down below. Now let's check out the charts, because we have a lot going on here. First up, we have SPY. We've talked about that declining trend line until we've been blue in the face. It's broken. It's really, part of me wants to go ahead and take it off. I don't know how relevant it's going to be in forward, but if we do get a pullback, I would like to know if we're coming back down to the top side of this declining trend line that was broken and retesting it as support that time. So I'm going to leave it on there for now. But a couple of things that does stick out to me. This rising trend line off of the October lows. That really seems to me, if this pullback is going to gain some steam, that would be the target area for a pullback, is retesting this trend line. That would, you've seen us get disconnected from the trend line here as well, quite a bit off of the October lows. This little rally here saw a sharp pullback that took place over basically the course of a week. Easily could see that happen as well, especially if the CPI number comes in hot next week. That would result in a pullback to that trend line. If that breaks, then you're going to start talking about the December lows again. That would automatically come into play. But the bullish argument here is that we still have this blue line here. This is like a cup and handle pattern that has formed on SPY. We broke out of it, and then we hit this resistance, this long-term resistance. And we'll a little bit more about that in a second, but we've pulled back down to this support level. So does the bulls start to gather some accumulation and start to put a bounce together right here? And then the challenge once again, the resistance overhead, which is this white line? Possible. I think there's a good chance of that, especially if it can't continue to sell off tomorrow. If the bears can't continue the momentum to the downside, it'll only reinvigorate the bulls to buy this dip. So watch this blue line tomorrow. I think that's going to be a key level tomorrow, determining whether or not we go back to this resistance level in the days ahead, or we go back and retest this rising trend line off of the October lows. On the Qs, man, we got this double bottom in place. I mean, it's an impressive double bottom. We've confirmed the double bottom. And then, and I'll show you where we confirmed it here, essentially just broke out of it last week, and it has done nothing but just take off up until last Friday. Friday, it started the 2-day pullback. This is where I'm looking for it to pull back to, is this support level here. That would be the first test. The second test would be this rising trend line here. And it's pretty much right there in conjunction with this breakout level. So with this pullback, you're going to get a test of this rising trend line and the double bottom breakout. Keep those two levels in mind. You also have IWM. And IWM had this breakout. It confirmed it about, I guess last week is what you would say. Pulled back for 2 days. Again, I'm looking for that pullback to this support level right here. Now you also have this rising trend line. That could also come into play before it actually gets to that level. So keep that on your radar. VIX. This is probably the most surprising one. Breaking out above the declining trend line. That's the first time we've seen that since October. This thing has rejected price on the VIX over and over and over again. Finally, it's breaking out above it. Now on the T2108, we're still incredibly overbought. Same thing on T2107. This measures the percentage of stocks trading above their 200-day moving average. Historically, very, very overbought. So with SPY, just to recap, we're looking for the pullback to this blue line here where we're currently sitting at. Does it hold it, or does it push back through this resistance? If it can't hold that or if it can't push that resistance, we're starting to look at some of these support levels right here to get tested. Like I said, I'm slightly bullish or bearish on this market. Very small position. I don't have a ton of confidence that it's going to necessarily work out at this point, at least not enough to want to add more positions. I'm in a wait and see mode. I'd like to get in if this resistance does hold up like what we saw on SPY, like what we saw on the Qs, but we need to be able to see it play out. The QQ resistance level that I did not mention before, but I want to show you again, but I want to make sure to address it with you guys. This resistance level goes back, and I apologize for getting about this, but this resistance level right here is essentially where this rally died out on Thursday. And then since then, we've had that 2-day pullback. So that's the only reason at this point why I'm getting slightly bearish on the NASDAQ. I want to see how that plays out, because if it does hold the support level, then it's going to re-challenge that overhead resistance. But for now, it's seeing some price rejection. It's worth taking a small position on and seeing where it wants to go from there. So going forward, be nimble with this market. It's very difficult to start chasing after some of these companies like Tesla that's already rallied 100%. You still have people chasing after APE, that ape, whatever that thing is. You got people going after AMC. You got people going after GameStop. You got people going after Bed Bath & Beyond, which is pretty much going under from what we can tell. And yet people have rallied it over 100%. I mean, over just like the last couple of days. So there's a lot of insanity out there. A lot of people are just buying stocks. They're getting back into the meme stocks, and they're just basically asking to fail. So be careful out there. Don't join into the hype. I'm not going to. I'm going to stay away from all of that stuff. I'm just going to stick to my trading strategies, my trading plans, which has worked out for me very, very well over the years. So let me know down in the comments. What are your plans for this market for this week ahead? We got 4 more days left. What is your plans? What is your positioning? I want to hear all about it. Thank you guys, and God bless.